It seemed like any other evening when I stepped into the elevator of my office building. After a grueling day of endless meetings and the drone of fluorescent lights, I hit the button for my floor only to watch in disbelief as the lit display abruptly went blank. The illuminated numbers and familiar buttons melted away, replaced by an empty, featureless panel. I hesitated, assuming it was a mere glitch. But the elevator began to descend on its own, moving much slower than usual, leaving my pulse pounding in my ears as the elevator steadily lowered. My surroundings blurred into a mix of humming machinery and an unsettling silence. The gentle jostle of the cables mingled with an odd, almost imperceptible low-frequency vibration. I pressed the call button, but no comforting reply came. Every second felt interminable as I realized the elevator was descending far beyond the usual building floors, far deeper than the architectural design of the structure should allow. Panic bubbled up inside me when I glanced at the tiny digital display which, after a moment of dormancy, now flickered with a series of unfamiliar, cryptic symbols. A cold sweat dampened my palms as I gripped the rail. Disoriented, I silently pleaded for the elevator to stop. And then, as abruptly as it had spiraled downward, the motion halted. The doors slid open with a sound that was too slow, too deliberate, revealing a corridor enveloped in an eerie, ambient glow. The sight beyond the doors defied reason. I stepped out cautiously, each footstep echoing on a floor made of cold, worn stone. The corridor was lined with walls that pulsed faintly as if alive, etched with undecipherable hieroglyphs that danced in the shifting light. The air smelled of damp earth and age. And the silence carried an overwhelming weight, as if the space itself were holding its breath. I realized immediately that I'd stumbled upon a place that simply should not exist, a hidden realm far beneath the foundations of the modern world above. My heart pounded as I wandered down the corridor, the walls seemingly closing in on me. The further I walked, the more the environment transformed. The initially neat hallway gave way to a labyrinthine network of twisting passageways and narrow staircases. The architecture was an unsettling blend of brutalist decay and medieval craftsmanship, anachronistically fused into one ancient darkness. Flickering sconces along the walls sputtered desperately like dying fireflies, casting long, distorted shadows that seemed to mimic my every movement. As I ventured deeper, a low murmur began to fill the air, like whispered voices from a long-forgotten past. They carried fragments of conversation, snatches of regret, desperate pleas, and warnings that I could barely understand. It felt as though the very walls were trying to communicate the secrets of this underground expanse, recounting the memories of those who had once been trapped here. I soon reached a vast, circular hall, its dome lost in gloom above me. In the center stood a solitary, ancient pedestal, on which lay a heavy tome bound in cracked leather. The pages, yellowed and delicate, were filled with cryptic writings that hinted at the existence of the guardian of the descent, nameless force tasked with protecting this forgotten world. The book spoke of a sacred boundary between what is seen and what is hidden, a constant vigil over a threshold that should never be crossed. Every word reverberated in my mind, suggesting that my accidental journey might not have been a random glitch after all. Unease warred with curiosity. I retraced my steps, determined to find an exit. Yet, the corridors only grew stranger with every turn. Walls that once bore carved reliefs now displayed unsettling murals depicting shadowy figures and impossible landscapes. A particular passageway led me to a narrow, spiraling staircase that descended further still, into an abyss that seemed to deepen with every step. The air grew chillier, and the faint sound of dripping water accompanied my hurried descent. At the very bottom of this unending stairway, I emerged into a small chamber, lit by a solitary, spectral light. In its center, fixed to the stone floor, was a circular portal rimmed with ancient symbols, an exit, perhaps, or a gateway to another realm. My rational mind screamed that I should retreat to the safety of the known world above. Yet, the pull of this mysterious threshold was too powerful to ignore. I reached out, trembling, unsure whether this door led back to reality or plunged me into something wholly beyond comprehension. Before I could decide, a soft, firm voice echoed through the chamber. "Every journey has its price." I spun around and caught a glimpse of a figure emerging from the shadows, a being that radiated an ageless melancholy. It regarded me with eyes that seemed to hold all the sorrow of a forgotten era. You have crossed beyond the limits of your world. To return, you must accept the truth of what lies below, it said. I stood frozen, caught between fascination and dread. In that moment, I understood that my descent was not an accident, it was a crossing into a realm that exists alongside our own, hidden in plain sight beneath the veneer of normality. The mysterious guardian extended a hand, inviting me to step forward, to embrace the darkness and uncover the secrets that had lured me deep into this abyss. What choice did I have? With a heavy heart, driven by the need for answers, and the desperate hope of reclaiming my life, I took the guardian's hand and stepped through the portal. I woke in the elevator, the doors closing behind me. My floor button illuminated once more, and I found myself in the familiar office corridor. Had it all been a dream? The silver watch on my wrist, still ticking in an unbroken rhythm, was only proof that something extraordinary had happened. Yet, every time I took an elevator ride after that day, I couldn't help but wonder, beneath the surface of our everyday world lies a labyrinth of secrets, waiting for the curious and the damned to step below the threshold. I still get goosebumps on nights when elevators descend too far, and I wonder if anyone else has peered beyond the familiar floors into the darkness that whispers from below.